Hi, and welcome back to Bitonto Pizza. I'm Paul Byrne, and today we're going to talk about why I don't make Neapolitan pizza. And it's not by choice. Let's get started. In case you're not aware of it, there is actually an association that governs the specification of the true or genuine Neapolitan pizza. It's called the Associazione Verace Pizza Napolitana. And this association, which obviously resides in Naples, is responsible for setting what's known in Italian as the disciplinare, or the specification of the artisanal Neapolitan pizza. This is available on the web, it's free, and you can read it yourself. I've got the Italian version, but there's also a version known as the international version, which is written in English if you want to follow along. Let's go through a set of checkboxes and see how many of them I can check off as being true to the way that I make pizza, and then we'll talk about the ones where I miss the mark. First of all, let's talk about ingredients. In the Italian pizza crust, there are really technically 4 ingredients that are allowed: water, flour, yeast, and salt. And that's it. The specification makes it very clear that these are the ingredients that are required and the only ones allowed in making the crust of the pizza. Where I deviate on this set of specifications is that I actually use yeast to activate the honey when making Polish. That's the standard way that I make my pizza dough. There are also some relatively stringent specifications on the type of flour you can use, and the type of salt, and the type of yeast that you can use, as well as the water. Let's go through those one at a time. For those 4 ingredients, I think I hit the mark every single time. So flour, if you're using 00 flour from an actual Italian mill like the Molino Caputo or one of the other ones, you can be pretty sure that you're set on your specifications. But there are other types of flour that are allowed, including type 0 and type 1, but only in certain proportions. If you look at the disciplinare, the specification, you'll see that there are ways that you can make actual Neapolitan pizza without having type 00 flour necessarily. So that's an interesting point, that I always thought you had to have type 00 flour. In the specification itself, it tells you what properties are allowed and what measurements are allowed for your 00 or your type 0 flour. And they're pretty stringent. I've put together a table that you can see here, which I'll also link to in the comments, that shows comparing the type 0 and the type 00 flour, what's allowed and what those measurements need to be. On most of the American flours, we simply don't have those measurements, so you may not even be able to know if you're in compliance or not with the specification. The specification on water is a little more straightforward. It has to be drinking water, it can't be contaminated. No sparkling water is allowed. Have a pH between 6 and 7, and there is a specific temperature that is preferred, which is 16 to 22 degrees Celsius, which works out to be about 61 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. As far as the salt goes, no brainer, preferably sea salt. And finally, the specification on the yeast, fresh yeast is preferred. They actually give the name of the specific yeast fungus, the Latin name, that you're allowed to use. I looked this up. Like most Americans, I use Fleischmann's active yeast. And there's really nothing in there that tells me if I meet the specification or not. The area where I fall down for sure right now is that you're supposed to be using a direct mixing option. And that means no sort of mixing part of the dough today and adding more components tomorrow. You're supposed to add all of the ingredients at one time. If you're using Polish or Biga, you don't meet that requirement. I use Polish, so I'm not meeting that requirement. A couple of other interesting points is that the process for making the dough should start with the water. You should have no oil and no sugars in the dough. This is where I may run afoul because I use honey to activate my yeast. So I'm probably out on the dough making in a couple of instances. Here's the recipe. One of the things that you'll notice on here is the hydration level when you do the math. It may not be what you expected. It's relatively low. it's between 55 and 62%. I've been making my pizza at a hydration of 64%. So once again, I'm out of specification. You should be fermenting your dough or rising your dough for 8 to 24 hours. That's a maximum value is 24, no more than that. We'll talk about temperatures a little bit more in just a minute. Let's move on to the toppings, or what they call the condiments of the pizza. It's important to maybe open a parenthesis here that there are only 2 specific types or recipes of pizza that are allowed to be called the genuine Neapolitan pizza. One is the marinara and the other one is the margherita. I would say the main difference is no cheese. There's no cheese on the marinara pizza. Let's talk about the ingredients you're allowed to use, starting with the tomatoes. The tomatoes, whether you're doing marinara or margherita, should be the San Marzano. And the San Marzano tomatoes can either be canned, or you can actually use the same type of tomato, fresh, as long as it meets the required specification. I like to use San Marzano tomatoes. I don't always use San Marzano, so I probably meet this at about 50%. If you're making a margherita pizza, you should be using the mozzarella di bufala di Campana or the fior di latte. The big difference is the mozzarella di bufala is made from water buffalo milk. The fior di latte, on the other hand, is made from cow's milk. They both have very specific specifications, and if you can find it in the Dallas area, let me know, because I cannot. The important point here is that I am also out of specification on this ingredient, not at all by my choice, really by geography. Oil is an easy one. It should be extra virgin olive oil. It shouldn't have any flavors in it. And within Italy, there are olives that are kind of spicier. They have a little bit more of an acidic taste. They say it's because they grow among the citrus trees like lemon and orange trees. Whereas on the other hand, there's more of a smoother taste, a very almost buttery taste olive oil. That's the olive oil you're supposed to be using. Either one can come in the extra virgin variety, so be careful. But the Associazione is saying use the smooth buttery one, not the acidy one. Herbs are another important ingredient. If you're making a marinara pizza, you're working with oregano. If you're making a margherita pizza, you're working with basil. Both should be as fresh as possible. The Parmesan cheese or the grated cheese that you put on your pizza, I actually use Pecorino Romano instead of the Parmesan cheese. There really is no specification on that. It really just says grated hard cheese. So you've got some leeway on that, and I'm definitely in compliance on that account. As far as the salt goes, it needs to be sea salt. We'll talk about the quantity. It's gonna depend on which type of tomato you're using. Here are the basic rules on the recipe. I put these together with the marinara and the margherita next to each other so you could see the difference. As I said, we have cheese on the margherita, the mozzarella di bufala, and we have no cheese on the marinara. On the marinara, there is some garlic, so aglio in the Italian, a very small amount of it, and it should be shaved garlic. Both pizzas, you can have basil. On the marinara, the basil is not a required ingredient. In both cases, it needs to be a few leaves of fresh basil. There are a couple of rules in saucing and cheesing the pizza that are kind of interesting that I would highlight here. So first of all, I already mentioned that the garlic needs to be sliced very thin, and it should be distributed evenly across the pizza. The oil should be applied in a spiral fashion across the top of the pizza. Mozzarella should be cut into either thin strips or half moon. If you're using the round balls or the bocconcini of mozzarella, then the half moon makes sense because you can kind of slice it one way and your edge pieces end up being sort of these half moon shapes. There are also some important cooking rules that need to be followed. So first of all, you need to cook your pizza directly on the floor of the oven. That is an absolute must in the specification. You shouldn't be using screens or pans or anything of that type to cook your pizza with. The second is the temperature of the oven. The oven should be about 485 degrees Celsius, around 905 degrees Fahrenheit. you should be using a pala. The cooking time for the pizza should be no more than 90 seconds and should not be much less than 60 seconds. And finally, this one I found interesting. There's even a specification on when to eat the pizza. Might be obvious to you if you're a pizza lover, but you want to eat it within 10 minutes of it coming out of the oven. They make an exception for delivery, and the delivery pizza should be eaten within 20 minutes of coming out of the oven. Finally, and probably the most importantly, is the final product. What is the specification of this final product? It should be round or tondeggiante. In Italian, tondeggiante is kind of like saying roundish. It should be no more than 35 centimeters across. If you're an American, that's a 13.7-inch pizza. That one's easy for me to adhere to because I can't fit anything more really than 13 and a half or 13 inches on the pala that I use to put it in the oven. So it should have a raised border around the edge, which should be no more than 1 or 2 centimeters, either in height or in width. And at the center of the pizza, it should be no more than 1/4 of a centimeter in thickness, and that should be within plus or minus 10%. In English measures, that ends up being somewhere between 1/12 and 1/8 of an inch. I don't know if you're gonna get your micrometer out to measure that, but it should be pretty easy to figure out either way. The red color of the tomatoes should be showing through no matter which kind of pizza you're making, and that should be one of the main colors that you see on the pizza. So if you're making a margherita pizza with mozzarella on top and the white completely covers the top of the pizza, then you're out of specification. I think I do a pretty good job on this one. The tomatoes in the center should be fully integrated with the other ingredients in the topping. So the oil, the salt, and the basil can still show if you're using basil leaves. It is preferable to put the basil leaves under the mozzarella if you're doing a margherita pizza, simply to make sure that they don't burn. Finally, the pizza should be soft, it should be foldable, and the taste of the crust should be a well-raised and well-cooked bread. That's it for the specification review. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna use some of the information from here to really improve my pizza game, and we're gonna try out some changes to my normal procedure the next time we make some pizza so I can be more true to it. The final thing that is important to making the Neapolitan pizza is you actually need to be a registered Neapolitan pizzaiolo. I'm just a guy who makes pizza in his house. I really enjoy it. I think I'm pretty good at it in some ways, but I'm not a pizzaiolo, and I'm certainly not a pizzaiolo teacher, but I can learn from the specification, and it's great, bringing me back to the initial principles, which will help me to better understand my art and my artisanship in making pizza. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit a like button and to give us some comments on there, and we'd love to have you subscribe. We have new videos out every single week, and we'd love to have you watch them.